Hey guys, what is up? I've got another game for you. This is the third game between Ty and Mark in the top 16 of Arkansas State Championships. Mike lost the second game after winning the first, so he gets to go first here. And we see he's leading with Celebi and Gigas on the bench. And right away, he's going to rip the grass energy and the double colorless. So 3 energy turn 1 attachment is pretty insane. It's about as fast as you can be in this format, or really any format. That's a crazy concept, just to go from having no energy on a Pokemon to 3. And I think that's kind of a good indication of how kind of crazy our format is. Anyways, he's going to gear, it looks like twice. The first time he grabs the Pont, and the second time, I think he's hoping to hit the Juniper, and I think he grabs another Pont, and it appears he's just going to play this one. So maybe he was just thinning his deck. And my best guess for this is that he's trying to hit the Sky Arrow Bridge or Switch so that he can start attacking with these Regigigas this turn. You see Ty's beautiful face in the camera, but that would be really big, getting some damage on. I'm pretty sure that's a Zekrom EX. It could be the regular Zekrom. It's hard to tell with those two full arts. They're both just kind of plain black. But Mike gets the Eviolite on his Gigas, which is also huge, but he's forced to pass. Ty's going to drop the Dynamo and Dual Ball. And I'm thinking that's a regular Zekrom now. Yeah, it's definitely a regular Zekrom. But he's just going to grab a Thundurus, which makes me think he probably has Switch or something like that. I see Switch in his hand. There's the Lightning Energy. He switches to Dynamo. And he's going to plus power in Juniper. And I guess he switched to Dynamo there just because why wouldn't you? It is free retreat. It makes it so that you're not really locked into any one option in case I don't know what other card Ty could hit. But it's just a good policy to go into your free retreater like that. He dual balls and fails. And he's also going to level ball. So there's another Dynamo on the bench. So here we see the effectiveness of just playing kind of the ball system, the combination of level ball and dual ball. Ty got to play a Juniper. He gets he gets the turn 1 charge. He gets out 2 Dynamo, gets out of his Zekrom lead into the charge, and he also has the Eel in hand. So it's just really impressive. Had he had like an extra Lightning in his hand before he Junipered, he could have gotten Lightning in the discard too. So it's just kind of impressive. We're going to see that Mike is dual balling, or he's Pokegearing on his Junk Arm, I guess. I think he thought he had a dual ball, but Ty was the one who played all the dual balls. So that could explain the confusion there. And now what we really need to see from Mike is a way to get out of Celebi as his active and some catchers. He makes an interesting play in that he attaches the DCE. I see that he's probably doing that because I think he plays Shaman, so that he doesn't want to waste the DC, and that way he can just, kind of drop it whenever he needs it and move it to something else. He also gets out Smeargle, which is another nice tech. There's the Shaman that I was just talking about. And at this point, Mike really needs to get attacking. I mean, he had the 3 energy on the first turn, but he hasn't been able to get Celebi out. Now I just think he's thinning his deck in all likelihood. I think that might be 1 heads there. But the catchers and killing some Dynamos would really be what he needs now, because Zeals is a stronger deck in the mid and late game than CMT, and no one really argues that. It has a higher damage output, and it's just intense. And the only way that CMT really can ever overpower is if it just wins a Mewtwo war, which is a relatively difficult thing to do against a deck that has energy acceleration like Zeals does. So what Mike needs to do is take board control, and if he can establish board control and maintain board control, that's really his ticket to winning, is killing those Dynamos. He does hit the bridge, which is good. And if we see a catcher, he could definitely be in a really nice looking spot. He benches the Mewtwo, which is kind of interesting. If he's not going to put any energy on it, it's actually a decent thing to do because he has the Shaman. As soon as it's up, there's a Force Breath to it, which is okay. Even putting one on is okay. But now he's Shamaning the energy. I think his Shaman's off camera. He switches into Smeargle, and he's gonna, I believe, Portrait of Sages. So now I think Mike's going maybe a little too aggro. I don't think you gain all that much from the board control of knocking out the Thundurus, and I feel like this is a little bit of a panic move. However, you do really lose a lot. He's going to be able to promote a free retreater. If he has DCE and a way to get out his Mewtwo, then he's just going to steamroll. He hits the Junk Arm, which is definitely a card to grab. You could grab the Eel as well. It's not a bad play. He could double Eels this turn and basically just knock out a Mewtwo. That's what you want to do. So that's what he does do. It's kind of a hard play for Ty as well because he has DCs. There's a lot of stuff he doesn't want to Junk Arm, but just the results of Junk Arm could be so good, and I think that's kind of what he's dealing with. It's a hard call, but so far I think he's making the right one. Yeah, I guess you discard the Level Ball, because why? You don't know where your third electric is, so I discard Level Ball, because the point of Level Ball is just to get out your Eels. So he takes, he discards the Eel. Oh, it's a Pont. Okay. So that makes sense. I think it was a Pont. He's going to discard a Lightning and a DCE. And now it's going to come down to a really nasty flip. There's a Tails, and that's double Tails. That's brutal. I can't get over how brutal that is. What do you do if you're Ty here? I mean, he just whiffed on, what could have easily given him board control in terms of energy attachments and everything. It also just would have given him the prize lead, which is huge. So that really hurt. I'm just kind of beside myself. I actually wasn't watching at this point. So this is actually the first time I'm seeing this footage, to be honest, but oof. So it looks like Ty's just going to outrage for 20. There's a plus power. And with that plus power, I think Mike should be able to take a KO. I think that's something they're disputing. There's few energy between them. I think there's 6, yeah. So that's an exact KO. So now, Ty's just probably looking to super rod stuff. I think it's interesting he doesn't grab the Eel. But Ty knows his deck better than I do. He might have another one in there. And he already has one out. So there's the Professor Oak. And really the only thing to grab out now is Mewtwo. The problem is that Mike's already taken 2 prizes. So now a Mewtwo War, he'd be behind in it. And he'd really have to get good ends or something like that to be able to keep up. It also, I'm not sure if Ty's Mewtwo count. I think I've said this in previous videos. I know it's between 2 and 3, but there's something that's going to help him out. So at least he can get started in this Mewtwo War. He's going to attach to it. There's the Dynamotor. And though you would have liked to have seen this a turn before, it is very good that he hit it, because this Mewtwo, having those Mewtwo's when they have like 3, 4, 5 energy on them, that's when they're really lethal. Not even 3 so much as 4 and 5. But there's the X-Ball for KO. Mike's going to be able to Force Breath. And it's important to note for the Mewtwo War as well that while Ty has given up 2 prizes, he has not given up a Mewtwo KO, so he should, assuming he runs 2 and Mike runs 3, which are the fairly standards, more or less from what I've seen, Assuming that, they should be even on Mewtwo's, which, even then though, thinking about it, that Mike will take a Mewtwo KO here, bring Ty down to 1, Ty will bring Mike down to 1, and then I guess Mike could bring Ty down to 0. So it's really going to be interesting. This is ignoring Super Rods. Ty's already played his, however that makes it easier to play another Super Rod with Junk Arms if you really need the rod, which actually probably makes it favorable overall. We see Mike Juniper, but I think he might have Junipered away a Junk Arm and 2 other cards, which is kind of a little silly. You know, you can always do something useful with that. And now we see Mike going to Gigas. And he's going to hit for 80 damage. And this is dangerous in that, oh, so Ty just hit the DCE. If he can switch, kind of get the energy to work in his favor, he can take another Mewtwo prize. The fact that Mike couldn't respond in the Mewtwo world is pretty game-changing. And right now what Ty would like to do is, you know, catcher that Mewtwo and knock that out. That's another easy 2 prizes for him. It also makes his Mewtwo a lot less vulnerable, even though it has the 80 damage on it. So now I'm not exactly sure what Ty is doing. Huh. That's kind of interesting. I have no idea what Ty is doing right now. He's counting something, clearly. I think, it's there, since he's using multiples of 4, it might be X-Ball weakness. He might also be counting his DCEs. Those would be important. If you could hit the DC, if you had the DC in hand, he wouldn't have to think about all this right now. He'd just be able to DCE catcher Mewtwo and put himself in a really nice spot. There is the Junk Arm for the Tyrogue and something I can't quite make out, but it looks like a trainer of some sort. And what is Ty thinking about the level? Oh, okay. So he grabs a level ball, and he could grab Shaman here or Eel. Either makes sense. I don't know if he has Shaman in hand, or if he runs Shaman at all. It's another important thing to note. If he has Shaman, then, you know, he has nothing to worry about. So there's the catcher for the Mewtwo. And Ty's just going for it. He hits the DCE though, so I guess it doesn't matter. When you're Ty Smith, you just draw the cards you need. I'd like to see him use the Dynamotors anyways, just to get him onto Zekrom. Zekrom's a pretty good attacker in this matchup, and you know that the N is probably coming. But whoa, that was a big hit for Ty. It definitely makes up for him whiffing before on the dual ball. So there's 2 more prizes for him. And now we're seeing Mike dual ball and presumably get out his own Mewtwo, but at this point, Mewtwo just doesn't seem as appealing. If he had the plus power, he could Giga Power, which would definitely be more effective. Now you have to worry about Ty having the Mewtwo. If Ty does have an outs to a Mewtwo, all he needs is basically an energy and handed Mewtwo because he can double Dynamotor. He could even promote Zekrom and retreat with it, so he wouldn't have to worry about anything. But Mike's going to draw the 6 off his pawn and presumably retreat to the Mewtwo he just attached to an X-Ball, because this is just what makes most sense based on the attachment. And there it is. So Ty now has to respond, promotes Zekrom, top decks Mewtwo. He has energy in hand, so that's going to be game. So Ty's going to be able to win this one, move on to the top 8 in Arkansas. Make sure, if you want to watch Ty keep winning and stuff like that, to subscribe to my channels to get all his games. the rest of this tournament. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later.
Yeah. Okay. My